All right, so I wanted to talk about this new video that came out October 23rd, 2022 by David Lindsley. A little life update on me. I'm gonna for sure start just doing a lot more videos and put more effort into it. I've been living with some people that it definitely a lot of negativity towards what I do or just judgment. And I'll just say there's been severe, awful lies said about me. So I've just been having severe anxiety at some places I'm living in a much better situation. Things are really, I just really good actually. So it's just been really, really, ugh, but I've had a week of just severe panic attacks and really terrorized a little bit. Um, I won't say anymore, but I probably will eventually. So, but I appreciate those that have believed in me and trusted me. I know it's a lot of this is unbelievable, but hopefully some friends will help me out so that people think that I'm lying about all this. They'll see that I have not been. But what I want to talk about today, just doing some fact checking. So Lindsley, I see what I have up here. He did this painting and he did a really, really very professional. Like he probably had a team of people doing this video. It's just, and I think it's the only YouTube video he's done. And it was really well done. And I'll say one thing I do like is he says that the locket photo is not Joseph Smith because his eyebrows are too thin. I was like, yeah, totally awesome. And then he starts to say it's Hyrum, which I don't agree with at all. Hyrum's nose is very, very different. Let me see, I brought up. This is important. Okay, he says the nose changed so much from this is a life painting of Hyrum Smith. Of course, it's not directly straight on. His nose is huge, you guys. Like it's the tip of the nose was very, very low. That's what you can see it in the death mask, and you can see it in this painting and all the artwork. And he always had sideburns. The lockup photo isn't him. It's someone on the Bertha Madison side. In my opinion, I think it's someone related to Bertha Madison because they look some of their facial features and facial expression just look almost exactly the same. You can go to my website and see. I'm redoing this. I've done this video several times. I'll probably forget what have I said and what have I not said. Okay. You can go to vlogging my journey. You're going to see every video, almost every video ever made about the photo. And I haven't made that many about church history. And I just do it because sometimes I've researched something so heavily and I just feel so impressed to share my knowledge and to share my belief that we shouldn't be afraid of the stories of the women. Like we all heard about Joseph Smith's polygamy. If anyone went to seminary, I did in Oregon, out in a little podunk town of Roseburg. I don't know if you'd really call it podunk. Roseburg is really like actually the big city of the very, very tiny cities. If you go there, and I grew up there 18 years of my life. And great seminary teacher and learned a lot. Besides the point. What was I talking about? Hyrum Smith. If you want to watch any of my videos about this photo, sometimes I've sort of taken them down, but I do analyze and say how it is in a photo of Hyrum. And I found out so many things, even recently. So I'm just always researching. If something just comes to my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm going to research that. But for the most part, so the next point he tries to make is he talks about, I recommend you watch this video. So there's quite a few times where we really started talking about the forward-facing painting that the Community of Christ owns. And you can see me pointing out and talking about, like, look at this copy of the forward facing, but you can see these stripes. There are certain fibers and things. So this is the next claim that he makes. He starts to explain that he really believes this is Hyrum, but he has no sideburns. And he doesn't have Hyrum's chin or his nose or his sideburns. He's mostly doing a lot of arrows. He actually states that that Joseph didn't have these marionette lines. He did. They're just only in the painting are they shaped like that, but on the death mask it's different. And then when he starts to state, he does a 3D picture and he's like, this is Hyrum Smith. He announces this is Hyrum Smith. I don't believe it is. Does a lot of 3D things. So but he starts talking about the painting and he says this painting was done in 1844. So I know he says that in the video, probably about this point. I'm not going to play his video. That's why this is important. So he basically says everything that was commonly believed because of William B. McCarl's really well done article that the church historians give to everyone, even though modern scholars disagree with a lot of things in it. They don't tell you that, right? So I read through that and read all the blogs, and I believed that this painting was based on a daguerreotype and not from life, whereas multi-million-dollar project with a bunch of church historians, really smart people, and all working hours and hours and hours looking at every document ever, concluded that it really was legitimately by David Rogers in 1842. And having read Kim Marshall's own blog, that's when I finally realized why are they, and I'd really doubted them too, because I got Joseph Smith's journals, and as you thumb the beginning pages, they start showing a bunch of artwork, and they said, this is David Rogers from 1842. I'm like, what? I thought it was William Major, and it was done from a daguerreotype, but they're saying it was from life. What? I was shocked in 2019. That was like 2 years of studying. Now I'm at 5 years of studying all this, and 3 working as a team. And so hopefully we will, the person that is very horribly, in the worst way possible, calling me a liar, the intent is very soon to, I think my friends will probably speak their opinions in the way they want to, hopefully soon. Okay. So as we look at this, what I found on Commercial's blog that I didn't know about, and I'd read a lot of these sources until I did my website, did I find the original sources? Like, you can actually just, I'm not going to click on this. So the reason I've done so many screenshots of like this document, because if you go to the church's catalog, it will make you log in, and I am working with people who are not members of the church, and I know there's a lot of people who are not LDS, or maybe they are part of a fringe group, but they love Joseph Smith and care about what he looked like, right? But they just don't have a login to see these things, and sometimes it works without it. I don't know why it keeps changing, you guys. I don't work for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and I don't know what the reasons are. But anyway, so this used to go to, I think it was Internet Archives. You could read, this goes to the source. It's August, I'll just read it right here. August 15th, 1879 issue of the Saints Herald. It ran in Plano, Illinois by Joseph Smith III. So the Saints Herald was the newspaper for the reorganized Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints that was reorganized in 1860. But it was 1866, Joseph Smith III moved to Plano to run the Saints Herald. And this paper was running before he even connected with these people in Kendall County. Remember, Kendall County is where my picture was printed. The cities were only a few miles away from each other, Plano and Newark, where my picture was printed in a family album that had pictures that had the name Smith written on the side, you know, like so and so Smith. And then people didn't believe him, made fun of him, and called him a liar. And then he took apart the whole family album and just sold everything separately. But a big chunk was sent to a Mormon in California. So contact me if you have those. And I've made many videos about that. I'm like, somebody who bought apparently in 2009, someone bought $500 worth of most of that photo album. And the older Joseph Smith that he thought that was Joseph Smith Sr., not that the person that sold me the picture was right about everything, but I don't think he was a liar. I really think he had a family album. So anyway, the big bombshell is that Joseph Smith III is stating that painting, this is August 15th, that also July, not even a month before, he submitted a photo of the painting. The Library of Congress states it is a photo of the painting. Copy of a drawing or painting showing the bust. So it's not a photo of a man, but David Lindsley tries to say that it is, but he is reiterating William B. McCarl's article at BYU from the 1960s. But William B. McCarl very possibly had no idea about this. He's not an idiot. It was the 1960s. So I'll have a whole video explaining this for people that don't understand, or just even members of the church that don't understand how the reorganized Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, now called the Community of Christ, and Church of Christ of Latter-day Saints, just didn't share everything till like the 90s. And now if you click on this, you'll see that almost everything, of course someone quoted something from the Saints Herald in that specific year I couldn't find. I'm like, really? How did that not get sent over? But you're wanting me to find that. And I couldn't find on Internet Archives either. I don't know. And I just gave up, and it didn't really matter. But so I don't want to lie and say that everything of the Saints Herald ended up in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints catalog. But if you click on this, it will go here. And so again, this newspaper was run by the reorganized Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Joseph Smith III is later. He's the editor of the Saints Herald newspaper. And he says that it's an advertisement selling photos of the only authentic front view painting of Joseph in existence. And he says the portrait was from life. The artist was from New York. David Rogers was from New York. William Major is from England. And he says Joseph was about 36 years of age at the time. So when David Rogers painted Joseph Smith, September 16th, and really for about 4 days. 4 days after that, David Rogers was painting Joseph Smith from life. He was 36. Because in December 23rd, 1842, he turned 37. He died at age 38. So the son knows his father died when he was 38. But unfortunately, David Lindsley just throws out this 1844 date for the painting, which isn't true. And then he goes into talking about a descendant of Joseph Smith, talked to him. And again, this is a renowned artist, and it's a really, really well done video, but these are not facts. It's very, very inaccurate. And so someone at BYU said that they thought they could see fibers in the clothing, and he goes into that. And I didn't watch every second of this video. I really kind of jumped. It's about right here. So this woman said, and so I know some of the descendants. They all have different opinions. And so I don't remember her name. That's not Gracia Jones. Believe that the Library of Congress picture and stuff were real photos of Joseph Smith, the man from life. And that maybe the India ink or the angle just messed it up a lot, but I recommend watching this video from September 20th, 2021, where I analyzed Kim Marshall's picture. She really believed that this was the original daguerreotype that the forward-facing painting was based on. And what I find out is I'm just analyzing it, and I analyze her picture to the death mask, analyze it to the painting. I didn't do that until this point, and I referenced her a lot the last 5 years because even though I don't agree with a lot of things, like a lot of her research was good and right. I don't think you say one person is wrong about one thing and throw everything out. I'm not going to listen to you. I'm not like that, and I don't believe you should be like that. But if we zoom in, I found a copy of the painting it was black and white. I made it sort of, I don't know why it looks green. I can't remember what happened there. But what you're seeing here on the painting is the canvas, and you're seeing these stripes here. Okay, this is really important, and there's a gloss. So the most famous forward-facing painting of Joseph Smith, massive amounts of gloss on it to protect it, probably. And I'm thinking it was glossed over maybe 1890s, maybe right when Emma passed away. Joseph Smith III had someone, okay, let's protect this. She wouldn't let anyone copy it. She would let people go in her bedroom and look at it, but she didn't want it to be photographed. Okay, but if you look at Kim Marshall's, I just start analyzing it to Kim Marshall's picture. Okay, I do that before then. But you can see the same stripes in her picture. Oh, that's what I did. The only thing I did change is because I superimposed them, I made this one green, and I just brought the color down to make this a little bit more red so that when I superimpose them, you could really see how things were different, but you see the stripes, you can see the canvas. So she talks extensively about how, I think her last post, I might be able to find it here. You can go to Kim Marshall's blog and go to her most recent July 2022, yeah, where she's talking about, all these same pictures. So basically he's in line with commercial, which is interesting. But she basically says that she thinks she can see that it's definitely a camera because you see it's focused. This is the most clear part, and then not in focus, right? So she's saying the face is in focus, but everything else. And so she's correct. The face and like the shirt piece, the white shirt piece, look a lot more in focus, but it's because of the gloss. So when you start realizing this was glossed to the max, you see how the light is blurring out everything but the stuff that was lighter. So you aren't seeing much of a sheen on the areas that are lighter. Where it's darker, you're getting this weird, the sheen is more obvious. Does that make sense? So it'd probably be really, really hard to get a good photograph of that painting, or one that's clear without any bright lights. So there are better copies of that painting where they had to get the exactly perfect right lighting to try to not have any sheen. But back then, they just didn't have the machinery we have today to not have glare on a very highly glossed up, shined up. You see all this sheen and these lines going up and down, and you can see those lines in commercials photo. So you can see these lines, and so you can just watch my video and see me explain. I'm like, okay, I see a line there, I can see that same line there, and so I'm seeing it match up, that there's massive amounts of evidence that it really is just a photo of that painting actually. And so some of them look a little bit warped, a little bit different. I think it just has to do with the fact that they did copy it, put India ink, photograph it again, and the paper is shrinking, warping from India ink on it, or whatever they're just doing so many different things that are distorting it a little bit, but it's just of the painting and the painting itself. I analyzed way back in, I think, December 2020, so you can go to Logging My Journey, and then you see me explain even more, like I trying to understand, why did William B. McCarl think, like, David Lindsay's thinking. He's just thinking, oh, I'll just, William B. McCarl's right. It's really good paper, and it was a scholarly article, so it's gospel. But people found out different things when you get a huge team of very intellectual historians together. They find, oh, it is David Rogers, and it has mostly to do with the fact of this statement in Joseph Smith III's own newspaper he's the editor of, saying my dad was 36. It's by a painter from New York, David Rogers from New York. William B. McCarl, William Major was from England, and he wasn't there until after Joseph Smith died, so that's where this whole theory, and then if you watch my video, I explain what William B. McCarl's theory is in 1960s, which basically is listening the 1910 letter by Joseph Smith III to the Salt Lake Tribune criticizing Ramsey's painting. Not too far. Let's get back to December. I think it was December 2020. But yeah, there you go. December 18th, 2020. So you guys can watch that. I recommend watching that one so that you can understand. And so, just spoiler, Joseph Smith III says, oh, well, my father did not wear a wedding ring on his left hand, on his right hand. It was on his left hand. But in the painting, you guys can just watch it. So basically, in the painting the Community of Christ owns, there is also a ring on the right hand, as it is. And here's Ramsey's painting. And then you guys can just watch it and see me explain all this. But basically, when you look at David Sutcliffe Maudsley's own artwork, you actually see that Joseph Smith did wear that gold ring on his right hand, because you almost always saw just the right side of Joseph Smith's face by Sutcliffe Maudsley. Although I do think the black top hat, his face looks so different. I think it's the left side of his face because he has less hair on the left side in my picture. And on the death mask, his left eyebrow is thinner and shorter and less eyebrow hairs there. So it would make sense. But anyway, you do see, I zoom in basically. Yeah, anyway, just watch it and you'll see that actually, if Sutcliffe Maudsley is constantly painting him, and that's his right hand. That would be Joseph Smith's right hand. But it's just hard. People can get their left and right wrong. See, this is what Joseph Smith III submitted to the Salt Lake Tribune in 1810. So William B. McCarl thought, oh, well, his own painting shows the right hand. What if it was a daguerreotype and he painted it exactly how it was? Then it would be on the opposite hand, because the daguerreotype's flipped the orientation. It's like Instagram, where the orientation is flipped and all the writing is flipped, on someone's hat. And basically that's what daguerreotypes did, unless you had a daguerreotype reversing prism, which is theorized with mine, or a daguerreotype, which actually they showed all these quotes talking about that this summer in Locke, Mackay, and Ronald Romig's paper. But he just makes strong claims that I don't agree with at all. that this is Hyrum, and he does an AI version. And yeah. So the painting was not done in 1844. He's wrong about that. And this isn't Hyrum. Hyrum's nose was, you can see this man's nostrils again, even though his nose probably did change a little bit. I mean, it changed a lot being shot, but the tip of his nose, you can tell. I don't think it changed that much. I think you can tell the tip of his nose on the death mask is a lot lower. So it seems really consistent. There's just no way that this man's nose would ever look like that. And you can see how his nose is, they have his nose protruding out, lower part of his eye, but Hyrum's nose protruded out pretty. It was just a very large nose, very thin lips. And he always had sideburns. This guy doesn't have sideburns. Let's look at the actual photo there. I still really think that it's Bertha Madison's relative, if not her father. But again, I'm not a forensic scientist, so I would just give way to just how they analyze things is totally different. So a lot of forensic scientists actually are artists as well. But if you watch this video, you can see how much that guy looks like Bertha Madison. So I basically do show you a lot of pictures of Bertha, this guy, Bertha, him, Bertha. They just look so much alike. They look a lot alike. And the other thing is like family. I mean, you're genetically similar, but you talk the same. And they're Norwegian. Well, she is. But I'm convinced this guy's Norwegian. Very light eyebrows, very curly hair. They both seem to have very naturally curly hair. I mean, I know women did often curl their hair, yeah. But just seeing how it's so curly right there, where it's supposed to be straight, and the same with that guy. And Joseph Smith III says what in his own letter right here? They can read down here because I'm doing the timeline. So his letter is the last thing. He says, my father's hair was not curly, and he's really angry that Ramsey's painting shows a slight wave. Okay, but this man has really curly hair. It's like out of control curly, and he's probably has massive amounts of pomade trying to. Someone's like, well, he curled his hair for the picture. I don't think so. I just don't. So I'm sure he's a really good man, but there's just a lot of facts that are just. I feel like I need to let you guys know. Don't take this as gospel. And a lot of the problem is just is William B. McCarl's article and people thinking, well, how does how do they know anything? Well, because again, it wasn't until the 1990s that our LDS Church and Jesus Latter-day Saints are sharing all the information that really solidifies that this was from life and David Rogers from 1842 because he was from New York. So, yep. Anyway, have a good day.